Hey, good morning. It's Monday, February 17th, and I am Rob, that developer dad. And we are working in C Sharp and .NET, and I'm building a thing. I'll just use a Nightbot command here. It says simple application, but it's not so simple anymore. Um, I'm getting pretty sophisticated with some of this NPC generation. Last week, I finished up with some basic management features for the NPC list. You can now, or people will soon be able to delete NPCs when they don't need them anymore, as well as filter their list of NPCs that they've created. And then I started digging into enriching the actual information that's randomly generated when we create a new NPC. I started with personality traits, and I spent Thursday working on that. And then Friday, I got into ability scores and other game mechanics, focusing, of course, on the 5e system reference document rules, just because they're common. They're in the Creative Commons. That's the word I was looking for, and it is the most ubiquitous set of fantasy TTRPG rules out there. However, because I know there are other game systems out there, and people may not want to play just D&D, they might want to use this stuff in other rule sets. I am making sure to design the game mechanic generation stuff so that later on I can drop in, or I can create and drop in other rule sets, as you know, as they're requested, and I'm able to get them built out. So on Friday I got a lot of the scaffolding done, and I started working on the NPC ability score calculator. And in the SRD, uh, NPC, like commoner NPCs, are basically just like scores of 10 across the board. And that's not good enough for me. I want to be able to generate some variance, but still keep it fairly reasonable. Um, because it doesn't make sense to me that a master blacksmith would have a strength of 10 and a wisdom of 10, or what have you. I feel like there's going to be some variance within the general population of our game worlds on these statistics. And I'm very curious to see what happens when I start feeding these stats into the language model phase, to see how that impacts the descriptions that it comes up with. We're a ways off from that yet. We still have to get these ability scores generated. And so I am in the NPC ability score calculator. And during the lead up to this session, I've been chatting with my buddy Claude, who lives over in the right-hand panel of VS Code here, and just kind of brainstorming ideas for how we might do this kind of thing. And he's suggested adding a new class in the creation engine. I think this class should probably go into the rule set rather than the creation engine for these ability score adjustments. And then, of course, we can add them to the species templates, the background and the vocation templates. And, of course, then we have a fluent interface when we're setting up these backgrounds. So that could work really, really nicely, I think. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this out into a new window so that I can crib from it. And I'm just going to pull this over to my other monitor for now, because I have to add some files and stuff like that to different folders. And then, of course, once we've got the basic stuff laid out and put into a couple of templates, I'm going to want to automate some testing on these concepts before I go ahead and add the rest of the stuff. So we don't need the Townsfolk Manager right now. We do need to come down into here. So this is the creation engine for 5ESRD. I'm going to come down to the rule set definitions. No, I'm not. Analyzers, frameworks, projects, character attributes. Let's add a new file that is a class. And what am I doing? Rob, you silly goose. And let's rename the file to ability score rule. Rules, rule. Now, adjustment, no, specification. Score specification. Okay. And I just want to add a comment. Specifies the rules by which a specific ability score is to be generated. Each species, background, and vocation will receive a collection of these specifications that will all be used when, spell receive correctly, when generating, when rolling, let's use the correct term, the ability scores for our NPCs. Save-a-roo. And it's going to have prop, and I believe it's called a dice roll modifier, roll modifier kind. Modifier. Do I not have that in here? Rule set definitions, rule set access. Oh, that's probably in the dice bag, I bet. Let's go find where that is, where this enum is declared. Okay, yeah, that's in the dice engine. So we're going to need to add that up in here, and hopefully it doesn't cause a circular reference. We're going to find out in a second. Save that, and let's rebuild real quick to make sure I haven't introduced a circular dependency. And if I have, roll modifier kind is going to have to move out to a different home. probably the game tools framework. And I got a feeling that these 4 problems over here are just complaining about, yeah. Excuse me. All right, so we've got the role modifier kind. And then we are going to have a prop int adjustment. Save. Pardon me. Goodness. I'm going to give it a public one of those. Just a basic constructor. And then I'm going to say public ability score specification with advantage. I'm going to do a private get and set on these. Private set, role modifier kind dot advantage, return this. With disadvantage, public ability score specification with adjustment, and string attribute name, there we go. Finally up here, there's that. And we now have a way to specify how one of these ability scores should be adjusted as it's generated. Whether we roll it with advantage or disadvantage, whether there's a bonus on it or what. Now, in addition to this, we are going to add another class called ability score rules. All right. And it's going to have a private dictionary of string and ability score specification. Ability specs. Ability specs equals new dictionary of those. Public void add spec. And I think I want to do a private void set ability role modifier, string attribute name, string role modifier kind. Okay. If ability specs contains key, ability specs attribute name. All right, because the accessor is inaccessible. Oh, right, because it's a private set. Set ability. I'm going to make this internal. Get rid of these privates. And I'm going to rip these off too. Remove the Fluent API from that stuff. Save, come back out here. Role modifier. Contains key. And what I'm going to do is equals false. Ability specs.add, attribute name, new ability score specification, role mod. Private. Void set ability adjustment. We're good there. Public. Ability score rules. Set advantage for string attribute name. Set disadvantage for set adjustment for. Okay, and then finally, public int get adjustment for and public role modifier kind get role modifier for. So now if we can call this and pass in any ability score, and if that ability score hasn't received either a role modifier or an adjustment from the rule sets from the rules on the template, we're going to get back either 0 or role mod none. Let's go to our rule set definitions. Oh, no, that's not what we want. Here's that. Oh, I think it is, in fact, over here. Yep. Game attribute definition. So, I'm going to need to move both of those classes into the into the game attribute definitions area. Now, let me think about this before I move stuff around. Refactor, can we extract an oh yes, we're going to extract an interface. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this, add a new file over here. I attribute adjustment rules. Interface, I attribute adjustment rules. Paste, grab this stuff, paste it in here. Change this to that. All right, groovy. Grab this, paste it here, and then over in the concrete, we're good. Does not implement interface member, get role modifier 4. Oh, nonsense. I gotta take a look over here. That should be role modifier kind. Gotta add the dice bag. And what that's telling me is that I need to move that role modifier kind somewhere else. Save, save, cool. Pardon me. Now, here's our ability score rules. Here's our ability score specification. Now I can come up into my characters, and on the species template, let's start small. Here's our gender options. I'm going to collapse that. Species template. Prop I attribute adjustment rules. Attribute rules. No. Yeah, attribute rules. I like attribute adjustment rules. And let's just call it attribute adjustments. And I'm going to come down to here and say, this needs to become nullable. Yeah. Yep. Okay. All right, we're good there. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to, right now, no. Let's just do species for now. So to apply this, we're going to come down here to the species 5e provider. And we are going to add I should probably run over to the species template. And one of these guys, because I've set up the, yep, here we go. Template helpers. Okay. Species template, this species template. Okay. Yep. Public, static, set, and it's going to return a species template. Set attribute adjustment rules. There we go. Get rid of the extra curly brace. Save. And pop up here. Dot set attribute adjustment rules. Pardon me. Ability score rules. Okay. And I'm not actually going to populate anything here yet. But what I'm going to do is copy that, and just one at a time, I'm going to add this to here. We can pull this over like this. Paste. I'm going to shrink these as I go so that I can keep track of which ones I've added and which ones I haven't. There we go. Now, none of these do anything yet. half-elf template, half-orc template, boop. Ogres. I gave myself way too much work to do when I added all these new potential species to use. That was very silly of me. I think Unseelie Fae is the last one. Nope, Minotaur. Because nothing scares the bejeebers out of your party when they think they're going to go into a tavern and start a fight and take everybody's money, and there's a 7-foot tall Minotaur standing behind the bar. Because that would be funny. All right, so I've got my ability score rules over here. And on the species template, blah, 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 default pronoun mapping. Okay. Now what? Blah. Attribute. Adjustments equals new. Oh, that's on the template. Never mind. We can't set that here on the template itself. However, what I can do is pound and region. Public int get adjustment for string attribute name. There we go. Public role modifier kind, and we got to import that namespace. There we go. And I am going to take 2 minutes and step away. I'll be right back. Hey, Mars. How's it going, man? All right, so we've got get adjustment for, get role modifier for, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Cool. Save this. And I think it's time for a new project. X unit. And let's see here. Game tools, creation engine. Five ESRD tests. Game tools dot creation engine dot D and D 5E SRD dot tests. Boom. Yep. Put in the default, create the project. Oh, cheap viewers on. Guess what? Guess what, buddy? Bonk. See you later. I don't want any of that nonsense in here. How's it going, Mars? All right. So if I come out to NPC ability score calculator and stat builder, here's all this stuff. Generate NPC stats. It is just another Monday, isn't it? Of course, I've got stat collection. Where are you declared? You're in concepts. Okay. New character attributes. That is what? Go to definition, character attributes. Yeah. Create ability score group. This is declared over in the rule set. Okay. And var NPC ability score calculator. What? X. We are in the 5e stat creator thing. Private. Read only. Is that how I want to set this up? Configure. Yeah. Ability score calculator. That's not the interface I want. Attribute calculator. Ability score calculator. Yep, that's what I want. Okay. No. Nope. Excuse me. Private. Character attributes. Create attribute generator. Oh, I get that, Mars. feel like I need to pass these in. Oh, stop it. New character attributes, that's that. And generator dot ability scores. That's an attribute group. Dot attribute group is ability scores. Let's go to the definition on attribute group. Here we are. And can we make attribute group indexable so that when I reference an instance of it, I can pass the name of an attribute in square brackets and get back either null or the character attribute with that name. Beautiful. That's what I want. Save. Close, close. And where was I? Character attributes. But stat builder, ability scores. And then I've got some constants set up somewhere. Probably down in 5e. And dismiss that. Game stat constants. Dot ability scores dot strength dot set, not set adjustment for. I'm going to take a look at this character attribute again. Let's run over here, go to definition, attribute group, go to definition, take a look at character attribute, and generate value. I need to set up the calculator for it. Excuse me. Calculate this dot display name. So we pass that into the calculate because we're going to need that. Ability scores dot. So I don't need to reference by name here, but I do need to set attributes. That's that. I know I had added something to character attributes container. Attribute group. Add attribute group. Blah, blah, blah. Come on, Rob. I know I'd added some ways to get assign calculator to the group. That's it. Dot. Now, ability score calculator. So I need NPC ability score calculator. Ability calc equals new. We just use the shorthand on that. What are you barfing about? I do need the dice bag. And I want to take a look at the constructor on this again. Okay. Stat builder, he needs a dice bag. Private read only dice bag. Dice bag. Set that up. Create attribute generator with the species, background, and not character class. Rename. Bad assumption, Mr. Copilot. Vocation. Rename to vocation. There we go. New dice bag. Excuse me. We're going to configure with that. And I want to see what the overload is on this again, because I have a brain like a... Let's make that nullable. Save. Okay. 86 that. Ability calc.configure. Dice bag. species, background, vocation. Cool. All right. Configure equals new character attributes. And I want to use my constants. Game stat constants. Dot ability scores. Dot group name. Come on. Ability scores. Dot group name. Save. I think that's about all I need to do here. Save. Generator.toStat collection. What goes on in here? Probably nothing. Oh, no, I've got it. Attribute definition default value. Var new stat equals, not state, but stat. New stat dot current value equals, not state. New stat dot base value and stats dot add stat new stat. All right, I am going to finish up this stream here in a minute and get some initial tests written. Yeah. And I believe attribute dot definition dot definition, generate value. That's it. Oh, come on. I'll get this stuff figured out. I was going to work all of this stuff out over the weekend, but I decided that I was going to rest instead. Excuse me. Value. Attribute dot generate value. Current value equals attribute dot value. Get rid of that. All right, I'm going to get some tests stood up between now and the afternoon stream, and then we're going to carry on with this because I'm writing way too much code without knowing exactly what it's doing, and I'm starting to lose track of where I'm at. So it's time for me to take a step back and actually get this stuff executing so that I can more easily reason about and direct and focus my work. So until this afternoon, thanks for hanging out. Mars, roll some dice, dude. Like write down your projects and then figure out what kind of die to roll and then roll it and go from there. That's the best suggestion I've got for you. When I try to come up with things that like what do I focus on, and I haven't got a prioritized list that I can pick from, I'll just roll the damn dice. Until this afternoon, take care of yourselves. Thanks for hanging out and happy coding. Bye now.